Chapter 1, Discovery. The summer breeze rustled through the leaves of the old maple tree in the front yard as he walked up the steps to the porch. The rickety wooden door creaked as he opened it, revealing a tiny room lit by a single bare bulb that hung from the ceiling. He scanned the room, but the only thing of interest was a plain wooden box on the floor in the corner. He moved closer, intrigued by the box and the secrets it seemed to hold. He knelt to examine it, noting its well-worn edges and faint carvings of unknown symbols etched into its surface. He ran his finger along the smooth wood, feeling the age of the box. He slowly reached for the mysterious box and opened it, wondering what secrets it could possibly hold. Inside, he found a stack of old letters and documents written in a language he didn't understand. He flipped through them, his curiosity turning to confusion. He was certain he had never seen these before. They were definitely not his. He read the sentences carefully, piecing together words he did recognize in a desperate search for some kind of hint as to what these documents meant. He quickly realized the documents were undoubtedly linked to his family's past, but the details of the mystery kept eluding him. He needed to know more. He gathered the documents and put them back in the box, his heart pounding in anticipation of what he might find. He was determined to get to the bottom of this mystery, no matter what the cost. As he opened the box and read what was inside, his mind was spinning with questions and disbelief. He had been expecting something else entirely, but what he found was very different. Inside the box were documents and a photograph of a family he had never seen before. He tried to make sense of it, but it seemed like a foreign language. He immediately realized that the documents belonged to a family that he had no connection with, yet somehow felt oddly familiar. He noticed a handwritten note with the documents and hesitantly began to read it. As he read the note, his heart sank as he realized that he had been adopted and the family he thought were his parents weren't. He felt betrayed. He had been lied to his whole life and his identity had been taken away from him in the process. He was filled with rage and wanted to know why his adoptive parents had kept these secrets from him. He knew that he needed to confront them in order to get the answers he eagerly sought. He also knew that things would never be the same again after this revelation. He gathered his courage, took a deep breath, and stood up to face his destiny. He was determined to find out who he really was and take back his identity. Whatever the cost, he was ready to do whatever it took to get the answers he sought. He quickly put the documents and photograph back in the box and set out to discover the truth. He was determined to get to the bottom of the mystery and find out who was behind it all. Chapter 2, Confrontation. He was determined to get to the bottom of the mystery and find out who was behind it all. With each step, he dug deeper and his determination only grew stronger. He needed to find out the truth, whatever it was. He scoured the town, seeking out clues and leads. Every piece of information, every tiny detail, seemed to lead him closer to the truth. He followed every lead with dogged persistence, until everything slowly began to become clear. As he investigated further, he uncovered a web of sinister plot and deceit. He was shocked to discover that a powerful group of people was behind the conspiracy, and he knew he had to take them on. He realized he was dealing with a powerful and influential group of people, but he was determined to reveal the truth. He was able to locate some of the members of the group and he followed them to their secret meeting places. He was careful not to reveal himself and was able to gather enough information to piece together the truth behind the mystery. He was now certain that he was dealing with a sinister plot, but he had no idea what their ultimate goal was. He was determined to get to the bottom of it, but he had no idea what he was up against. He could only hope that he would be able to uncover the truth before it was too late. He was determined to get to the bottom of this mystery and find out who was behind it all. He had no idea what he was getting himself into, but he knew he had to keep going. As he delved deeper and deeper into the conspiracy, he began to uncover more and more secrets and lies. He found out that people he had trusted, and even loved, had betrayed him. He discovered a network of people who had been keeping secrets from him and manipulating those around him for their own gain. He was shocked at the lengths some people would go to, and angry at how he had been manipulated and lied to. He knew that he had to do something. He had to get justice. He researched, asked questions and uncovered more and more evidence that just seemed to reaffirm his suspicions. He was determined to get to the bottom of it all, no matter what the cost. He started to put together a plan, a way to confront the people behind the conspiracy. He had to take precautions though, and make sure he wouldn't be followed or tracked by them. He began to build up his knowledge of the conspiracy and the people involved. He was determined to make sure they paid for what they had done, no matter what the consequences. With each step he took, he was getting closer to uncovering the truth behind the conspiracy. Chapter 4, Showdown. He was prepared to take on the people behind the conspiracy, no matter what the cost. With a heavy heart and a determination like never before, he set out to confront them and finally make them pay for their crimes. He went to the address listed on the box and knocked on the door. When a woman answered, he asked to speak about the conspiracy. She quickly slammed the door in his face. Undeterred, he went down the street and knocked on another door. This time, a man answered. He was one of the members of the conspiracy, and he did not take kindly to being confronted. He tried to intimidate the protagonist, but the protagonist stood his ground and kept pushing for answers. Finally, the man gave in and revealed the secrets of the conspiracy. The protagonist was appalled to learn how far and wide their plans had spread, and how they had been manipulating people and events for their own gain. In the end, the protagonist promised to do whatever it took to stop the conspiracy and its members. He realized the danger he was putting himself in, but he was determined to make sure justice was served. He could only hope that he would be able to stay one step ahead of the people behind the conspiracy. He had done what he had to do, but the aftermath of his actions weighed heavily on his mind. He had never thought that his actions would come with such devastating consequences. He felt a wave of guilt wash over him as he thought of the people he had hurt, people who had only wanted to help him. As he made his way home, he couldn't help but feel like a fugitive. He had promised himself that he would bring justice, but instead he had done more harm than good. He had done what he had to do to save himself, but at what cost? When he got home, he was met with a mix of emotions. His family had remained loyal to him and supported him through the whole ordeal. But with that support came a sadness that seemed to hang in the air. Despite the joy at his return, it was still tainted with the understanding of all that had happened. He knew he couldn't let himself be consumed with guilt. He had to move forward and try to put this whole experience behind him. He had to find a way to carry on and make the best of his situation. But despite everything, he was still determined to make sure justice was served. He was determined to make sure no one else went through the same experience he had. He was determined to make sure that his voice was heard, and that the truth would come out even if it meant more consequences for him. He was prepared to take on whatever consequences he had to in order to get justice and ensure no one else was hurt by the same people that had hurt him. He knew that it was all over now, but that the consequences of his actions would stay with him forever. He had done what he had to do, but the aftermath of his actions weighed heavily on his mind. He had taken down the conspiracy and uncovered the secrets of his past, but the consequences still lingered. He had gone through so much and had risked so much, and in the process, he had lost his innocence. But there was light in the darkness. He still had his family and friends who stood by him and kept him strong. He realized that although the truth had been painful, it was better than a life of lies. He had found his voice and learned to stand up for himself and for what he believed was right. Now he looked forward to the future with a newfound strength and courage. He was ready to face whatever the future might bring, and he was certain that no matter what, he would come out of it as a better person. The summer breeze rustled through the leaves of the old maple tree in the front yard as he walked up the steps to the porch. He had faced so much, but with the help of his loved ones, he had come out victorious. He opened the door of his home and stepped inside, ready to start a new chapter in his life. Chapter 3, Espionage. He was in way over his head, but he had to keep going. He knew that he was getting closer to the truth, and he had to take desperate measures in order to eventually uncover it. He began following the trail of clues that he had found, no matter how insignificant they seemed. Every little detail was incredibly important, and he had to make sure he didn't miss anything. His research took him across the country, to places he never would have imagined he'd end up. He began to uncover secrets and information about the conspiracy. Information that he never imagined could be true. The more he discovered, the more danger he seemed to be in. He realized that he was being followed, and he was worried that it was a sign that he was getting too close to the truth. He attempted to change his course and cover his tracks, but it was too late. The people behind the conspiracy were one step ahead of him and knew exactly what he was doing. The realization sent a chill down his spine. A few days later, he received a mysterious message from an unknown sender. The message required him to meet a certain individual at a certain time and place. Despite the danger, he'd gone through too much to back down now. He had to take the risk. At the meeting, the individual revealed a part of the truth that took his breath away. The conspiracy was bigger than he had ever imagined. He was shocked to learn that his own past was tangled in the mystery. He had been used as a pawn in a game of secrets and lies. He was terrified, but he knew he had to stay focused and determined. He had to put his fear to one side and do whatever it took to take down the people behind this complex scheme. He was in way over his head, but he was determined to find out the truth. With each step he took, he was getting closer to uncovering the truth behind the conspiracy. As the truth began to unravel, he was filled with a mix of emotions, anger, confusion, and betrayal. Frustrated and determined, he kept digging further until finally, he found the source of the conspiracy. The truth he uncovered was hard to believe at first. It seemed that he had been living a lie all these years. He had been nothing more than a pawn in someone else's game, used as a means to an end. The truth hit him like a ton of bricks, and he felt as though his life had been a lie. He wanted to know who was behind it all and why he had been chosen as their pawn. Digging further, he soon discovered the identity of the man behind the conspiracy. It was obvious that he had been using him to achieve his own sinister ambitions. Now that the truth was out, he was angrier than ever. No longer blinded by deception, he saw the magnitude of what had been done to him, and he was determined to find justice. He knew that he had to get to the bottom of this mystery, no matter what the cost.
If you're looking for unique and innovative audio content, look no further than Sunset Made by AI. Our channel features a variety of audio novels and books that are all made using advanced artificial intelligence techniques. Whether you're looking for a thrilling mystery, a heartwarming romance, or an engaging adventure, we've got you covered. Each story is carefully crafted by our AI system to provide an immersive and unforgettable listening experience. So sit back, relax, and let Sunset Made by AI transport you to a world of endless possibilities. Welcome to the future of storytelling.